time. So remember, we've got to flatten the curve. We really want to avoid ending up in this zone up here, saturating our healthcare system beyond its capacity so that it begins to break down. This is how we do that right here. We join this movement. And now I'm going to take you to some really, really fascinating, very, very well done animations that came to us out of the Washington Post. Here's the link for that. And what I want to do here is just run these a couple times. These are great. These explain a couple of things. So let's just kick this one off and get it going. So what we're doing here is tracking those little balls as they bounce into each other. They're just infecting other little balls. And so you can watch that chart at the top. And what we're seeing is the total amount of cases. Eventually people recover. So you set a recovery time on this. Those are the people who are in pink now wandering around. And this is what you should see over time, is that sort of a shape as a disease runs through, and then eventually that would be full herd immunity because every single ball is pink in this particular case. Let's run that one more time so we can just see this. There's 4 separate simulations like this, and they're just, I think, get the point across very, very well. So this is a completely unrestricted society. Everybody's moving around. Nobody has any clue about this disease. They're coughing in public. They're not wearing masks. They're all bunched up in big sort of groups. They're going out to bars. And you will see that sort of a shape. Now, how would you go about maybe controlling this? So one thing is you can actually put a border in. So here's a second simulation which has a border. That's this line right here. And the border now opens. And we let a few flights through. We can't stop travel. We got to keep the airlines coming through. So what happens when we just even allow a few people to come through into our society? This is why we say you have to seal the borders as much as you possibly can, because as soon as you allow the infection in, boom, you are going to get it completely. And what was interesting about this, let's run that one more time, is just how quickly this does spread. So here it is in country A. We're just going to allow one flight in. We're just going to let this flight. We're going to let a flight in, and here comes the flight, and that's it. With something that spreads this easily, all you need to do is just let even 1 or 2 passengers in, and you're dealing with it. All right, let's talk about doing it right. Based on that data, New Zealand, the Doing It Right edition. This comes from Greyman, posting it to Peak Prosperity. This just got posted last night, I believe. New Zealand tightens the border controls to flatten the curve. Yes. And so let's look at this. Effective from midnight Sunday, that's today, all travelers, except those coming from the Pacific Islands, all right, which I believe don't have any cases recorded right now, will have to self-isolate for 14 days on their arrival to New Zealand. Look at this. All travelers, not foreign travelers, not people of any particular country, region, ethnicity, anything like that. All travelers, including New Zealanders, has to self-isolate 14 days. These are the toughest rules in the world, according to the PM. I believe that might be the case. She told New Zealanders not to travel overseas if they don't have to, and issued stark advice. No hugs, hongi, or handshakes. All right? All cruise ships have been asked not to come to New Zealand until June 30th. There will be no further announcements on mass gatherings, and strict new border exit measures for people traveling to the Pacific have also been put in place. People who have traveled outside of New Zealand the past 14 days are not permitted to travel to the Pacific Islands. Note, so if the Pacific Islands don't have this stuff, then let's keep it that way. So they're in full isolation right now, so don't do it. No travel to the Pacific for close or casual contacts of a confirmed case. No travel for anyone who's symptomatic. Of course, that makes sense. Health assessment, including temperature checks, will be done. And restrictions prevent foreign nationals traveling from or transiting through mainland China or Iran from entering New Zealand. Not sure why that doesn't also call out Spain, France, Germany, Italy, most of Europe, actually. The government has also issued a stern warning for people with health conditions to reconsider overseas cruises. I'll go further than that. If you're thinking about going on a cruise, you are nuts. You could not pay me to go on a cruise. I don't care if I was losing money because I had one booked. I'm not going on a cruise. Now let's talk about how we can flatten the curve. Let's talk about lockdowns now. So this is why I think you need to be ready for a national lockdown if your country doesn't already have one, because it is the only thing that works. You can stay the F home yourself, but I think governments have to step in and do the lockdowns. And let's run a simulation that shows a lockdown. This is with 25% of the dots are now stationary. 25% of the dots are people that aren't moving. or maybe this is 50%. But at any rate, look how much more slowly this is all spreading when we don't have everybody moving around and going to gatherings and bumping into each other and coughing on each other in lines and all of that. So you can see the shape of that curve up top as it's being drawn is a very, very different shape. Everything's still moving the same speed. We haven't slowed the dots down or anything like that. It's just very, very effective. So that's what a lockdown will do for you. But now let's look at it with only 1 in 8 of the dots are going to be moving now. This is what a lockdown looks like with 1 in 8 moving. So pretty complete lockdown. The other one was 1 in 4 moving, I believe. All right, look at the shape of that curve being drawn up top. It's still gonna spread. Over time, you give this enough time, every dot's going to get to pink eventually. But look at the shape of that curve. So if only 1 in 8 are moving about, this is what happens. All right. So this is a great visual to explain. I'm just going to run that one again because this is what I want to see happen. This visualizes, I think, very, very well why and how a lockdown actually works. And in this case, I think the only thing you could maybe criticize is that anytime a dot bumps into a dot, it instantly changes it. Does this coronavirus instantly infect with 100% accuracy? No, but this visually really demonstrates the difference, I think, between unrestrained movement and a complete lockdown where only 1 in 8 are moving around like that.